my mind has been reeling over the last week or so about this, and, finally learning my final lesson with narcissistic abuse as far as being aware of what it looks like, looking for patterns and behaviors. 43 years old, and I'm just figuring this out. No, it's been a lifelong lesson because it's been my experience all my life. And so I was having a conversation over the phone this morning and kind of wanted to talk about this. I wrote some things down. And this is for anybody, both men and women, because there are narcissistic women out there as well. Believe me, controlling women, and there's different degrees, I think, of narcissism as well. We all have, and I've learned this too, we all have a level of narcissism. But I've found with experience in the 3 relationships I've been in, and seeing patterns of behaviors and patterns of manipulation, and that's really what how I really learned what narcissism is. Because if there's a pattern and a cycle that never ends, then chances are they're a narcissist. They have narcissistic personality disorder. And I'll get into that too with what I'm going to talk about, because I'm excited, because it's like I love to learn new things. I'm a counselor, so and I have groups that I do for work, for like domestic violence and things like substance abuse, and I haven't done parenting, but mainly like domestic violence and substance abuse. So, and this will help me to help others, because I'm not only a victim of narcissistic abuse, but now I can teach about it from experiences and things that I learn. A lot of times especially when we're under the influence of narcissistic abuse, we don't see it until we rise above it and say, whoa, this is what it looks like. This is the pattern that I'm seeing. And I'll get into that as well. So, but anyway, we have to come to a point, kind of like I've done over the last couple of months, where we just have to put the brakes on it and realize it for what it is, and just, stop engaging altogether with people that are like that. So I think the first one that came to mind is a narcissist has a constant need for outside validation. And this isn't to say, I know with love languages, one of them is words of affirmation. We love to hear from someone we love, not someone, just someone we love, not just anybody. We love to hear, that we're doing good, or that we look good, or that they're giving us affirmations, not validation, because validation should come within, or come from within ourselves. So I also put in there, a healthy person seeks validation from within. And like I was saying, it's not to say that when you're in a relationship with somebody, or like your children or your parents or loved ones, that we don't need that assurance, or validation and assurance, validation and affirmations are not quite the same, because a healthy person is going to love from within. So this means they love themselves, and they don't need to hear or see or feel from outside sources that they're good, or for whatever reason. Narcissists will constantly need for outside validation, and that's what's called or referred to as narcissistic supply. They seek that in others. They'll look for that from other people. Some of them look for it in a lot of people. And if you stop giving it to them, they'll find it in somebody else. So, and one of the attributes, I guess you can say, of a narcissist is they have this grandiose personality. They esteem themselves highly. And could come from a lack of self-esteem, which is one thing. They don't quite love themselves that they or like they should, talking about just a normal person. So they have low self-esteem or no self-awareness, so they want it to that assurance from other people. A narcissist, on the other hand, they think that they're something great, but they still need that outside validation. They still need that supply to constantly validate them and make them look big and, esteemed highly. And that's, I think, where a lot of us, especially women, get kind of sucked into this, because we mistake, a man's interest in us because he wants to be seen with us in public. And I've recently experienced this. Like, it was so confusing. But, confusion is a sign too. So look out for that. If you're really confused by the behaviors versus what's actually happening, then chances are, that he's a narcissist. So, but sometimes it takes a full cycle to see that. And I'll just throw this in here too, is there's a difference between ego and confidence. And I guess the shortest and most to the point way I can put this is, a lion does not have to tell you that he's a lion. So consider a lion. When you think of a lion, what does he portray? Strength, loyalty, beautiful, he's a lion. He's the king of the jungle, but he does not have to go around and say he's a lion. They tend to be very calm in nature, but very strong. They don't go around like a peacock. So that's ego. To me, ego is like a peacock. Confidence is like a lion. He still holds his own. He still knows who he is. He doesn't have to tell everybody that. He doesn't have to share who he is, because that, again, goes back to that narcissistic trait of needing validation. Oh yeah, sure, yeah, you're that. And then it goes also back to, affirmations. Everybody wants to feel good about themselves. Everybody, that's another thing too. Men, both men and women. Of course, I'm mostly speaking to the women because I am a woman. If he's constantly looking for that from you, but he's not reciprocating, like he wants to hear that he's whatever, but he doesn't reciprocate that to you in some way, red flag. And I hope that all made sense. I'm trying to, not go too far over in this video, but there's definitely going to be more talk on this because I think it's important. And I'll kind of recap everything and make sure that everything makes sense to you, what I'm trying to say here. So I just wrote this little paragraph of a thought that I had about it. So you'll constantly see a pattern where there will never be any changed behaviors. So you'll see a pattern where behaviors won't change. They just kind of recycle. They kind of cycle back to the same thing. With this, they will always switch strategy. The best way I've learned to disarm a narcissist is to detach from them emotionally. It's hard for an empath to do that. So, it could be devastating if you're an empath and you're not enlightened, you're not self-aware of your heart and your body and your boundaries and your mindset to do this. It really is hard. So, but the best way I've learned to do it, and this is recent experience, okay? I am a 43-year-old counselor that has learned about this stuff, but because of my empathetic heart and my love for people, it's taken me this long to realize, like, I've got to love me first. Like, I've got to protect this before I seek it. I have to love myself, and that's the key. But anyway, the best way that I've learned to disarm them is to detach from them emotionally, yet stay friendly and present. So if you're not giving into their if you're not their narcissistic supply anymore, in other words, you're still present, you still listen to them, but you're not going to say, you're not going to feed them what they want to hear, how they want you to act. They're just listening to them, and that's where I kind of, that pattern just kind of ended. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'm here. Yep, I'm nice. I'm still Katie. I'm still here. I haven't changed one freaking bit. But yeah, sure. Yeah, yep. And just stay in that place of disengaging your emotions. You can have love for somebody or care about somebody and not have an emotional attachment to them, because that's called protection. You're not putting a wall up, you're putting a boundary up. That's super important, and there's a big difference. So, and what they'll learn in that, when you're, when the cycle, because this was for a full fucking year, I saw it. I mean, it was exactly a year, guys. Like, this is crazy. So I saw the patterns, and when I finally said, because I care and wanted them to kind of see for themselves that they're not going to freaking, keep doing this. I'm not going to keep feeding them what they want me to feed them. Then they realize that they can't control me, and that they pretty much lost at their own game with all the strategies that they tried. So anyway, and as I learn about it, I'm like, yep, that happened. Yep, that happened. And I'm just like, I kind of knew things, but I didn't know how to put it in words. And in that, I learned that they will continue as long as you allow them to, until you finally, this particular person pretty much took himself out of the picture, because he realized I was not going to be his supply. Without me saying a word, there were no fights, nothing. And that was my whole point that I wanted to make with this situation. You take yourself out. I'm not going to fight with you. You're not wasting my energy. I'll be present because I'll be Katie. I'll be stable. And I was. And, I got called. I never slipped up one time to cause any friction in this. Nothing. I was solid from day one. No mind games, nothing. And I did that purposely because I had to get through that cycle of the bullshit that I've been through all my life with narcissists. I wasn't going to subject myself to wasting my energy and getting a rise out of me, because I'm not that person anymore. You're not going to control me. And I will tell you in the most sweetest way. Like I told him, what was it? The phrase I use, and I've told my friends, is I'm the sweetest bitch you'll ever meet. And what I mean by that is you're not going to control me. I'm going to be solid, but I have my boundaries, and I won't tell you about them. You'll figure it out. I mean, you'll eventually, because you're not going to control me. If you can't meet me on my level, that's not my fault. But I've already been through enough. I've already dealt with enough of it and been hurt too much to not be that way. So look for the signs, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Women will do it too. They'll suck you dry. You can be the sweetest guy in the world, and why am I always getting these bitches in my life that just want to, they want me to continue pouring into them. They'll keep doing it if you let them. I mean, yeah, I know. So, that's why it's important to have boundaries. It's important to love yourself. We can share our love with others by affirming with them, but it has to be reciprocated. That's how you can tell the difference. And just the mind games, be wary of those, and you'll see what I'm saying. I know this is kind of all over the place. I really want to keep talking about this because I have so much to share, and just know that you have to find it within yourself. A narcissist, like I read earlier, said earlier in one of my posts, it's like this never-ending dark tunnel of despair. They put on a good facade. They know all the right things to say, but all they do is to suck you in. You're like, oh, somebody that's like me, because they mirror you to manipulate you. And that's not cool. So anyway, 17-minute video, probably my longest ever. But I'm becoming passionate about this because this is, why I haven't, why I'm still, not in a long life committed relationship, because I've finally learned my lesson. Like, this is it. Like, I know what to look for, and I will address it. And if you see these signs in somebody and you address it, and they get mad about it, narc. If they're not willing to change their behaviors and their patterns, narc. I don't care. So, I mean, it is what it is. That's what it is. It's best to see it, at the forefront of the relationship than down the road where you're fighting about stuff because you can't fix anything. Communication is super important. Anyway, I better get off here. Have a good one.